Still smells of steam after all these years later. Stone tape theory. So these walls here trap sounds and all sorts of its past in these walls. Ah, I didn't see that. It's me, Thomas Edward, also known as TA. Look, I'm at Dinting. I'm on the Glossop branch here, in this on my left, and then on my right is the Woodhead line, where it used to have loads of class 76s going up and down it once upon a time. And look, there's an old station over there. I think Martin Zero's had a mooch round that in one of his videos, but I think TA's going to have a mooch round it today. But also, I'm also going to go. I might go deep in the bush today and find something even more exciting than that. So let's get up road and get round. We've got to go round to a crossing up there over a bridge, and then I can delve in and we can find some pure gold with TA. It's the best thing ever. I'm here to the bit. I need to go in there in a minute, but let me tell you what's up there first. We've come to see a steam shed today, or what's left of one. And actually, it's probably one of the last intact steam sheds you can possibly get to and actually touch it and walk around it without someone in a high vis telling you off not to go in there. So it's quite a rarity today. We're at Dinting, like I was on the station before, and in there is an old shed, Dinting steam shed. Now, I want to go in what it turned into later, but originally this was a steam shed, what was a sub shed to Gorton steam shed, and it's a sub shed because once you look at it, it's only a single line shed, what you can only get sort of one engine in, and it's the style of it's like a Great Central style shed, maybe like later L&ER shed, and I'll tell you a bit more information now. Dinting Shed was opened in 1894 and was built by Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway. It was a sub-shed of Gorton. It was actually like, I think there was 4 other sheds and Dinting was one of them. Later on it became Great Central Railway, and then later than that it came L&ER, and then even later it went into BR. And then in 1953, the Woodhead line was electrified. It's like dead man's handle off flicker. Was a guard on the back of big merry-go-rounds. That's another story. And the locos started using the shed. So they electrified the yard and the shed. There's actually still on today, if you go today, there's a big girder above the door, and it's where the like a big frame came off it for when they electrified it. So there's actually good pictures of class 76s down the side of it. And then I've got this book here from 1959. Right, it's a loco shed book, and in this loco shed book, it's Dinting Shed still exists in 1959, but also in 1959, it was believed the shed was shut. And then it took 9 years of it being sort of derelict, but it technically wasn't derelict in a way because the yard was still used, and it's sort of urban, lot of myth, like lore, you know. But the guys in the local area who lived round there would leave locos there and then go home, so they wouldn't have to take it back to the other like sub sheds of Gorton. They could like just park it there and then go home. But 9 years later, Bahamas Society got hold of the lease and moved Bahamas there, and the rest is history. So there you go. That's all information at shed when it was built and when it was closed, and some old pictures, lots of old pictures. You can't beat old pictures and then now and then kind of thing, or that kind of music. So later on, when it disappeared from steam shed and the end of steam finished and everything went electric and diesel, and obviously the end of steam, there's a few engines got scrapped, a lot of engines got scrapped, but a lot got saved. There's a Jubilee loco called Bahamas. Now this loco's interesting. I actually filmed it last year, double heading with Leander. Now Bahamas is an interesting Jubilee because it's got 2 chimneys on it, and I think it was the tale goes it got it got saved because it had a name on the side. It said Bahamas on the side, and this engine, because it had its name on the side, it was sort of recognised, like it's almost like when you've got a brightly coloured car. Oh, that's quite interesting. It's got a name on it. So it went to Edgeley shed, and this engine, you never saw an engine in that shed with a name on it. So it was quite like a speciality like thing. It's like, oh, I've got a named loco. So this engine, the end of steam, people were trying to grab it and try and pull it back to scrap it and trying to get it, but Mr. Smith, the shed sort of master, sort of hid it back. He kept hiding it. It's a bit like the guy at Carnforth hiding his engine. Well, it actually happened in real times. They hid it right at the back of the shed. Further up north, it got to Horridge, what's underneath Winter Hill. But then I think Mr. Smith got it back and hid it again. So it managed to get saved because it got hid. If it hadn't got hid, it would have got scrapped. So when they set up the society, Bahamas Society, they were like, where do we keep this engine? Where does it go? And he looked around, and the perfect place was here at Dinting, because it had this shed what was still here, and he could sort of get on it, and he could get a lease on land and so forth. So it became here. So in 1968, Bahamas came here. I'll show you in a minute what the shed looked like now. Came here, and so initially it was just a society in here, and then it turned into what everyone knows when you look at Dinting is there's the Dinting Railway Centre. What's a bit like what Steamtown used to be, but what's small, or what we have today, Midland Railway at Butterley. Very similar, but a lot smaller, where you've got like viewing areas and rides and engines and stuff. But once we get up there, I'll give you more of an overall view and look at what's left in the ground, and a bit more of like what the railway centre was. And I haven't got me. Oh, hold on. What's got? Oh. Tell you what, you get everything on TE videos. You get microwaves. That was a class 323. Can't beat a microwave. But I'm just looking. I can't feel my map. I forgot my map. I had a proper map. What was ordered when it was a railway centre. It showed you all the original shed, and you had a newer shed, and like memorial gardens and stuff, and they had a narrow gauge. I'll go into that later, but I haven't seemed to got it. So we'll just have to go off my nose and the wind, so to speak, and let's get in there and have a poke deep in the bush with Thomas Edwards. Look, we're only like 400 yards in, and we've already got some remnants of Dinting Railway Centre with an old gate, because this what we're walking on here was the entrance. When you came to the railway centre, you came in your car up here to the car park, and cameraman and my mum remembers coming up from down in the valley up there, up this hill, and then down here into the car park. So it's a bit of a, we're already not quite in the bush yet, but we're still finding up relics of the yesterday year. It's still got its white paint on it. It's pretty good, and there's a post over there. But they've put a big mound in, what we stood on. You get, I can see a few tyre tracks from trials bikes and all sorts of stuff, but it's to stop bigger stuff coming in. In here, we're looking at like old footage last night. They had a head shunt went right up here, because they had a big long line went from here all the way up to a station what they could do running on. Originally it was footplate rides, and then it went into guards van rides, and I think cameraman's had a footplate ride, and a Flying Scotsman, when he was 8 years old. And it tells you how long ago that was, because they started off with footplate rides, and then they went on to guards van rides later on. But they had a head shunt in here. Obviously they had a line off the Glossop line coming in. But they had a line in here, and there's I can see a bit of ballast, but I wish I had my map. and a picture. But I think on here, or maybe on that bit of banking there, because it's more level, but it might be in here, in this dip, because I can see a lot of ballast, there was a head shunt, and I'll be able to show you that on a bit of film.
What's all this then? Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. He's gone out without his map. Oh, no. Rod. Yeah, Rod, listen. Take T.E.'s map with him, all right? Take it to him, all right? He's going down to Dinting, you know, Dinting near Manchester. Yeah, get that's right. Get my son. See you in a bit.
I've just heard something. Sounds very familiar, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining it. I can hear something though. I think it's coming up there, that noise, right up this path on all this old ballast. It's coming from old engine shed, I think. What are you doing up there, Rod? Oh, you brought me map. Daddy Winkle said I'd forgotten it this morning. It's very good of him. I owe him some money now. So is that your map on your feet there? Wow, that's pretty good. So what are you doing now? Oh, you want some nose bag, do you? Well, get flying, go down Glossop. It's only down there, that way, where you're pointing. It's only down there. And go up past, you get off station, or where you fly past station, and you go past, get to Wetherspoons, the Travel Lodge in Glossop, and then a bit up an hill, there's a nice cafe with some good nose bag in it. And then, I don't know, what time is it now? It's 2:43. I'll meet you back here in about an hour and a half's time, and I'll smuggle you back in my coat back up north to Cumbria. Does that sound a plan? Right, I'll see you in a bit, Rod. Aha! I've got my map now. That's good, isn't it? The map of Dinting Railway Centre. Look, it's got everything I need to know for today's Explore Deep in the Bush. Classic Thomas Edward video. So we're here at the old shed, well, it's named that on the map. This is actually a map from the old Dinting Railway Centre sort of brochures you got when you turned up to museum, so to speak, and looked round, you sort of got this. And this is a blown up copy. So we're at the old engine shed here, the site of the fitting shop, because obviously Bahamas was kept in there, but they did a lot of work here, I think. Scots Guardsman got boiler work here, Bahamas got work here. I think even Sir Nigel Gresley got work here, and bits, every engine that came here got work, and a lot of it was done in that old shed. Now, here what we're standing on, it just says coal. This is sort of the coaling platform, because there's lots of photos. You wouldn't believe it. There's a long way down there, so we won't go down there, but you won't believe it. These trees here, now it's been shut since 1990, the railway centre at Dinting. These trees, look how wide they are. You wouldn't think they've grown up in 30 years. No, 89 was the last proper year of proper serious running here, with engines and tracks still down there, with guys on here putting coal on, and sort of, it's almost like the platform almost just getting the engine here. They've always had an engine sort of in here, when lots of people come and took pictures and videos. There's quite a lot of videos in Dinting Railway Centre, which you wouldn't believe really. And this is sort of where it'd be, and then behind us, oh, and also at the end, yes, that's I've actually been pointed at camera saying I remember something here. Behind here, in this bank, you know, it could have been down there, was a water tower. Well, actually does say in it, it says water. I totally missed it. It was a water tower. It was quite an iconic sort of cast iron, wrought iron sort of water tower. next to the coaling sort of platform. Now this coaling platform's almost like a cattle dock, but it isn't. It's obviously a coaling platform, but if you look at it from distance, like, oh, is it a cattle dock? But it isn't. So the old shed here behind us, as I said early on my voiceover, after steam, this shed still survived because they electrified this yard. Because it's big, there's actually the electrified on pictures. There's when you electrified it, there's big stanchions, I think the name are called, what they're called, I think. And there's pictures of Class 76s sort of stable down the side of the shed and in the shed, and you know. So it sort of survives quite long after. But at the same time, Bahamas ended up here and this ended up its home in 68 anyway, so it's a bit of a mismatch really at the end of steam and electrification, and then also going into Bahamas. It's a bit of a weird stage what happened all in. Yeah, it almost went, steam finished, then it went straight back to steam again, all in one hit, all in 1 year. It just went, it's like, right, we'll get rid of steam, we'll electrify it, we'll get some 76 and then go, oh no, let's go back to steam again, and that's what happened. So it has I think there's a little bit down the side, it doesn't say it on here, but I think there's a machine shop down the side, or a bit of a mess room. We'll go and have a look in that. I can see there's a yin and yang graffiti on the wall in that little shop down the side. We'll go and have a look at that. We'll have a mooch in the shed. I've got my torch with me, so we'll have a mooch. But when it shut in 1990 and even into the 90s, when people sort of did old videos, there's a really great guy who's done stuff when it was running, and then when it just sort of disappeared in 1990, it still had its doors on it, and the windows on the side, what the frames are still there, were still white, but even a year straight after, the chav had been in and smashed it all up that quickly. But now it's just completely, it's got to a point now where it's a show and they can't do much more to it than paint on it. You know, but originally it was just a year after it got completely destroyed. Now over here, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, in all these trees here, obviously there'd be the road coming in for the cars and the car park, but in there, just probably there's a line here and then another line, and then, or maybe two lines actually, and then in there was a big long new building what they ended up putting in like the mid-80s, and that was a refreshments building, and there was actually film of that actually sort of like trashed in 1990 after they couldn't sort of, the lease on this, and the landlord wanted to have the land so he could get more money to someone else's. But as you can see, in 2023, February 23, I see no houses, and this has been like this since 1990. So we're talking 31, 32, 33 years. It's been like this. Now it's obviously in 89 it sort of shut, 90 it sort of shut. They ripped out track, all engines disappeared. Got left like this, and it's just been like this ever since, pretty much. We're going to have a look. When I say I like going deep in the bush, today we are going to go deep in the bush, because behind me here on the map, now TE, I like the standard gauge, but up here there's a miniature rail. There's a bit of a narrow gauge action. It's got quite a bit of footage what we can show you. Now this is up the back of here on this banking. Now there's actually a bit of remains of it I've seen with people urban exploring here. It's actually something Martin Zero didn't find. I was quite surprised. I thought he'd be into a bit of narrow gauge. We're going to go up there and have a mooch around there. There's also the exhibition hall. Now that got knocked down, but I think the footings are still there for it. And there's also the main entrance was sort of there, now the shop, and that's right on the back of the station. We did the start of this video on that station there, and then we walked around the road and came in the other end. So that's right down. So we're going to have a mooch of that. Then over it, look, they had a picnic area and a memorial garden, but see this line here, single track line, went into the platform. That's when I was saying there was a hedge shunt up here when I came in. That was pretty much that up there. See what we can find, but we'll go and have a mooch in here first and see what else we can see. And I'll just keep chatting as we go, but I think there's a big drop off there. I might have to go back down the steps, I think. But I'll just have a look, 'cause I haven't been up here yet. Yeah, oh no, the steps, I was wrong, the steps. But after we watch it'd be a bit slippy. So cameraman, watch that camera. So here it is. This is the empty shell. It's still got a roof in it. Wow, so it's got like little holes in the top where it looks like someone's been shooting it with an air gun. Or not even that, probably little rifle, something. It's got little pinholes in the roof. But I'm quite surprised that it's got all the wooden beams in it. It's still got roof on it. I didn't think it'd have roof on it. It's still intact. It's still dry. There's no water in it. It's amazing. But it smells. It smells of other things I won't go into, but it still smells of steam after all these years later. But you can see at the top of the walls it's all black, and even all beams and roof it's all black. And as we know, when you obviously with wood's soak stuff up. When you creosote or varnish wood, you smell it for years and years and years. Well, they've probably got creosote in because of our railway, but also all that soot is embedded in the wood, so you can smell it. I bet all the young lads who come here spraying it and painting. I don't think they ever think that, oh, it smells of steam. But TE is, oh, it smells of steam. That's more exciting than anything. And obviously you can see it's got the pit, and it was a one lane shed. You know, and obviously look, Bahamas, a big Jubilee was sat in here for many years. I just think when the railway centre was here, 68 to 90, it's over 20 years they were in here. And there's lots of videos of old guys doing work in here, actually like banging away and making stuff. And you can see lots of some like trap pins here all along. And there's a metal thing there. It looks like an old lamp. What's been in the roof? It's come down. Well, it's amazing, but I'm amazed how dry it is because the roof's still on it. That was pretty good, that is. Big pit. That'd be a lot deeper under there. It's been filled in with all sorts of rubble and debris and all sorts of stuff since it's shut. So it'd be a lot deeper then. It's crumbled away a bit in places, but it's pretty intact. You could, with cameraman, I was actually saying, if you had Bezos's money or Mr. Amazon, or you could just say, we'll pay you like what your money you want for this land for housing, but we just get this, put some track in and get some windows in it, and then just have an engine, and then we could just come here and drink tea and work on engines pretty much. It's pretty good. But these are the windows I was on about. Now this is at the back of the shed. Behind the camera is the front of the shed, what everyone saw. Now they were all painted white with all really nice little panes of glass in there when it was open, and only, like I was saying before, only a year later they were all smashed. But now they're completely gone. You've only got shards, well, bits of glass on the edge now. It's pretty mad. But it's just that you can hear the train on the Glossop line going past. I was just thinking then you can almost feel the yesterday of men working in here and engines simmering at night and the sound of engines going past and men chatting, but it's all gone. But that was just I'm talking about, actually, I think there was quite a few when this was a centre. Quite a lot of old men have worked in here and maybe worked in it when it was a proper shed before the heritage. They actually got the ashes put up in fire of an engine up. So
there were quite a few people who'd spent so much time at Dinting and enjoyed themselves so much working at Dinting that when they died, they asked for their ashes to be scattered on the site.
It's pretty
and I
mad,
can
right?
remember being
I
on
won't
the
go too
footplate
much
as a
into this,
fireman,
but spirits and ghosts and all like
family
that.
coming up and asking me to put the father's ashes onto the
and
fire and
machines
basically blow the ashes all across the site.
It's called stone tape theory. So these walls here trap sounds and all sorts of its past in these walls. So probably on a very dark night or a very quiet night, these walls will start singing in a way and making noises of like what it used to be. What's pretty mad, but pretty fascinating at the same time. There's lots of these are all big electrical junction boxes what have been chucked in the middle of here, and that's the old. Is that a big piece of wood? Looks like, no, I think it's just the edge of there what's just come away, I think. And old lamps and stuff, and it's full of a lot of trash. I think they all come, because it's dry with a roof on it, they all come hanging out in here. There's lots of beer bottles and booze and all sorts of stuff. There's even firewood at ends. Obviously they've been making fires in here. So they've gone from steam in here to fires happening in here. It's probably why I could smell a bit of steam, but actually I think I can actually smell proper steam in it. It's not just it being lighting fires. Steam has its own smell. Look, some good wood there. Look, wow. If I had a bigger pocket, I'd be taking one of them home for fire and bung that on the rear stove. It'd keep us nice and warm all night, but I haven't got a big enough pocket. I've got a smuggle rod home now, but I can't take them. So it's pretty good here, and there's a big, I'm just looking up above the door, there's a big beam up there with a bit of rope hanging off it. It's probably something to do with the door originally, that. Well, we're out the back of the shed here. I think there's another bit round here. Oh yeah, another door. Oh yeah, no way. So originally, when this was a proper shed, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, earlier, this would have been sort of mess room for drivers and fitters, and they would have had a few chairs and a few tables, maybe a big comfy chair and a big valve radio in the corner, and he'd always have a big kettle on the boil all the time, so there's always instant hot water. Later days, when he went into the British Railway in the 80s and 90s, then he'd up just having a big hot water boiler, but back in the day they'd have a stove going with a big pot on it. In here, and he'd be talking about banter about, it's not like it was in our day, was it? As generations do, they always go like that. And there'd be old and young generations in here from the steam days and when it was a railway centre. It's this is also this building. It's not just next door. This building will have a few tales to say, a few stone tapes, fairy stuff in here. With old guys talking about, you can come here on a very quiet night and you can hear a few local accents in here talking about the good old days and bits of chatter. Well, I lived in an old farm once and you could listen to chatter, and if you tuned into it you couldn't hear it, and what it sounded like was it sounded like an old radio. It sounded like an old radio sort of going in the background. And apparently, I'm talking about people talking here, but apparently Jesus was here. Apparently. I don't want to feel that like a bit of traction, a bit of Bahamas. Maybe if he's a big fan of Bahamas, he's like, oh, steam. But I want to explore at the back now. I want to go and look at narrow gauge. But we might go and look at the other shed maybe. I don't know, I haven't really decided where to go. There's so many things we can explore today in this video. We might go down track a bit and look at the bed of the old exhibition hall. What was a new shed, what actually got put in, it actually didn't really last that long. We're sort of walking on the track bed here with the line what went down the end of the old shed, what was behind us, there, behind trees. And right, so we're going up to this new shed, and it was an old RAF shed, and it came from Hangforth, and it was built, I think, 74, 75, mid-70s. So when this shed appeared, it was made into an exhibition hall. It was a 2-lane shed. And everyone then started paying attention to Dinting, because all of a sudden they had a bigger shed. They didn't just have that small shed there, they had a big brand new shed that had just been built, what they could hold engines in. So all of a sudden they were like, Scots Guardsmen turned up, Flying Scotsman came back after it come back from America came, Blue Peter turned up, and I think St Nigel Gresley turned up, and a handful of little tank engines turned up. So all of a sudden Dinting was worth coming and storing your engine at, and also working on your engine as well. A lot of engines got rebuilt here in all this woodland. I'm trying to get round to it. I can see so edge of shed here. We'll have to go up here. And there's loads of pictures of this shed, really shiny, and like you can't believe that it's not here today, because it looked like a brand new shed. Well, it was a brand new shed really. They just built it, and this is it here. These trees, these like semi-mature trees here is what's left of the new shed. You can see the sort of the walkways, or these are these are the foundations, and this is sort of the walkways and the tracks in the middle down there. Look, 2 lanes, like I said, 2 roads. Now, and you could have walked down the middle, and you come in here and view engines when they weren't in use. Exhibition, look down here, look. People would walk down here in a great big engine here, or a diesel. Talking of diesels, that shunting engine, I went to Peak Rail. We looked at a big old Rolls-Royce engine, what used to be a steam engine, a yellow engine, a big shunter. We walked down the side of that sidings at Darley Dale. That was here, and they used it as their shunting engine. And before it sort of disappeared and went into ruin, and now Peak Rail have actually done it up again, like it used to look like when it was sat here. There's quite a few bits I'll show you. But in here, I just think there's lots of pictures in here what I can show you, all on both sides. And it's pretty mad that this went, it completely went. They probably just went to scrap, I would have thought. All down here, look. If it's dead long, it goes right down. You can see where the trees have not grown, goes right down, and it's right on the back of the station. We'll go on, and I might get back on path. We'll go down the end of it, because that's where the office entrance and the shop was. So we might go and have a look round there before we get up to looking some narrow gauge. Right, I'm at the end of the shed, 2-road shed, the new shed, the RAF shed. And now this is where the shop and the entrance was, and I can't work out if this is the wall that's been pushed over or was it the floor. I'm just trying to look under there and see. It's got rebar in it and it's all breeze block. No, because there's like a door frame around the other side. But it's so buried and stuff that you don't know what anything was at the end. It's quite interesting, really. It's a bit like, it reminds me of looking around Lostock near Leyland. There was lots of breeze block and stuff, well, not breeze block, but old concrete, what had been pushed over from old buildings and old coaling towers. It's a bit like that. So now this is the station. Obviously, it's a single platform station now, going to Glossop. Originally it would have been a double platform, 2 platforms, but obviously this one's got defunct many years ago. It's not like the other one on the other side. We're going to go and have a look round. It's got a few fireplaces in there, I think. Well, you can obviously tell because it's got chimneys on it, but I think they're not, like the breasts and like the openings are quite well intact. And there's a bit of the old camokie and wrought iron posts on front, so we'll go and have a look.
I first went up to Dinting when I was just 13. I covered myself in dirt and oil to get the engines clean. I quickly made some friends amongst the lads who were there, and I learned the fireman's duties and locomotive care. For I'm a Dinting engineman, I'm proud of all we do, and what I've learned from older hands I gladly teach to you. I perhaps had 20 brothers, maybe 20 uncles too. You felt secure in knowing that they'd all look after you. The more we laughed and joked we found, the more we could achieve. And the quality of the work we did some found hard to believe. For I'm a Dinting engineman and proud of all we do, and what I learned from older hands I gladly teach to you. Well, Dinting men go everywhere was something I was told, so I went with all the lads to Crewe, Hereford and Bold. And there were lots of other places where the engines would appear, and when we cleaned and serviced them we tried the local beer. For I'm a Dinting engineman and proud of all we do, and what I've learned from older hands I gladly teach to you.